At night, if you go look at the moon, you may notice that it is not always the same shape. Sometimes it appears completely circular, but it can also look like a mouse just took a huge bite out of it. So why does this happen? Well, it's not because someone is secretly eating the moon. Instead, the moon can appear differently depending on how it reflects light from the sun. Without the sun, the moon would be completely dark, and we wouldn't be able to see it. Therefore, when people talk about moonlight, they are actually referring to light from the sun. But how can the sun be responsible for light we see at night? Well, if we look at how the moon, earth, and sun are positioned, we can see that firstly, the moon orbits the earth, but secondly, the earth orbits the sun. There's also something else we need to consider. The earth is constantly spinning, and this is what causes the difference between day and night. During the day, the section of the earth where you are located faces the sun, which causes it to be bright outside. But as the earth spins, it turns away from the brightness of the sun. Therefore, it is dark at night because earth is no longer facing the sun's brightness. However, the moon still reflects light from the sun, which is why we see it at night. But depending on what angle the sun's light hits the moon at, different parts will be illuminated. Specifically, there are 8 major ways the moon can appear at night. These are called its phases. The first phase occurs when the moon is directly in between the earth and sun. Because the side that faces earth is completely opposite to the side facing the sun, the moon barely reflects any light. It therefore is almost entirely concealed. This first phase is called a new moon. Next, right after a new moon, we see a phase called waxing crescent, where just a small portion of the moon is illuminated. This happens because the moon is no longer directly in between the earth and the sun, so the sun can shine directly on a tiny sliver of it. As the moon orbits further, more of its surface is exposed to the sun. Therefore, more light is reflected to earth, which means we see a larger portion of it. The phase where we see half of a circle is called the first quarter. Next, when we see more than half, the moon's phase is called waxing gibbous. After this, once the moon is directly behind Earth, the sun reflects the entirety of one of its sides. Therefore, in the night sky, it looks like a huge round circle, when we call this a full moon. Then, the moon phases sort of repeat, but in the opposite direction. That is, the moon goes from being larger in the sky to smaller. So directly after a full moon, we have waning gibbous instead of waxing gibbous. Then we have the last quarter instead of the first quarter. And then we have a waning crescent instead of a waxing crescent. Because the moon makes one revolution around the Earth about every month, these 8 phases repeat over and over again. So when you look outside at night, you can hopefully now find the moon and identify what phase it's in. Hope this video was helpful, and thank you for watching.